And that's it. We are now on the weekend after concluding our best/favorite, mostly favorite, top 25 Zelda tracks of all time. And it's time to give our overall impressions. We already heard some of Shaun's as he throws sort of himself under the bus as well.
Well, no, how am I under the bus? Oh, I love that song. I'm just saying the other song should have been higher because of it. It's the spine of Hyrule Castle, our number one vote. If you haven't watched the other ones, but why would you be here if you haven't watched those?
That's true. It'd be very weird.
That would be really
Go to the
weird.
start of the playlist. You can already see the top 5 on the right. It's spoiling it for you. Get out of here.
I'm not included in that.
No, Michaela's not included. Michaela and I were high-fiving all the way to the bank where we cash our check from doing this list.
It's crazy. It is so crazy to me that Breath of the Wild, I know we talked about the number one bit, but Breath of the Wild, for a, like Chris said, a mediocre soundtrack, running through the field, Breath of the Wild, it doesn't really have a soundtrack. I don't feel like it yet. That song is so good that it's number one.
They put all their songwriters, composers.
They kind of did.
There and some town themes, and that's pretty much it. I know there's a couple champion themes that are pretty good. Some of the Blight stuff is fine. Like, I'm not saying there's not good music there. It's just I get what they went for with the ambiance and that approach to the overworld. I understand it, and it does sort of fit in game. But you can listen to those tracks. There's like little like flitting pianos and like really light, empty soundscape, and it does nothing for me. It does nothing for me. It barely does anything for me in game, where at least it fits.
I think I only voted for 2. I think I only voted for 2 Breath of the Wild, and the other one was Champion Mifa, with the one where they combined Mifa's song with Sidon's song.
We talked about 34th being the Blight fights between Ganon and then the other stages. That was 34th. We had one 39th, the Guardian battle. That was one Dave voted for. We had one 41st, Rivali's theme. That was one Nick voted for. Like, there were other tracks that were hovering around it. Again, not super close. None of these were like, oh, just outside the top 25. Plenty of songs to like, but at the end of the day, I was like, man, we don't get to a Breath of the Wild song at any point until number 1.
I do like the other things that Breath of the Wild did, though, with in specific the Divine Beast music. I don't know if you guys ever caught the Morse code that was in it. You had 2 versions of Morse code. One of them was the SOS, and then the other one is SAD, which is Seek and Destroy. So
that's
cool.
That's sad. I think I remember reading that now that you've brought it up, that there were like, messages encoded, but I only remember that now that you said something. But that is really cool.
Yeah.
So and
they did
the
cool
shrine
things
music.
with it.
Where was the shrine music ended up on this list? How low did that end up?
Not in the top 50.
Well, great. Okay. Wow. I mean, I thought that was kind of cool.
55th.
But okay. So anyway, I mean, Zelda music as a whole, like, I'm amazed at how many things are so good to listen to outside of the game. There's there's a lot of great video game music out there, but this series in general just has so many. I could pick out one from each game, I think, that I'm like, yep, I could listen to that outside, and I'd be very happy with it. I could put this on a playlist. I think every single game has at least one, if not multiple, that I could pick out and put on that list and be very happy with.
Yeah, I think if we were to compare like our Final Fantasy list to our Zelda list, I think the Final Fantasy list is going to overall usurp most of the highest roles there, but because the Zelda is so top heavy, like we talked about, there might be some Zelda lists that sneak through. I was kind of trying to go off your point, Dave. I don't know that I did. Zelda songs don't have a lot that I would listen to in my car, but the ones that I would are very, very good.
What I do like about the music from this franchise is that there's a lot of really good lo-fi remixes. So I have a playlist on YouTube of songs like this that are for background when I'm trying to like read something or like study or like something that needs more concentration. Whereas I can't really do that for Final Fantasy. Those have more like sweeping, epic orchestral tracks or like heavy rock tracks, which are awesome. And I love listening to them on my own when I'm listening to music. This has a lot of songs that are like comfort food, but musically.
Oh, yeah. Video game music in general is good for background noise, and then if you add lo-fi on top of that, then it's just taking that up to the next level on that. So yeah, Zelda, they got all kinds of YouTube channels on with lo-fi Zelda. Some of them are better than the others, though.
Sure, but you can kind of sort through and find your own and have plenty of winners. I have stats for you. You want some stats?
Sure.
I love numbers.
Wind Waker was there 5 times in the top 25.
Of course it was.
As it deserves.
20%.
I wouldn't have
gonna-
minded if that was like one less and we got in a one more handheld game. But I couldn't tell you which track I'd want out. Look, I mean, I voted Wind Waker like 4th on the best game ever list, so I'm not going to tell you I'm disappointed. But I was like, as far as like balance goes, if I could pick, I'd be like one less Wind Waker and like sneak in the overworld track from Spirit Tracks or something. I don't know. But that's okay. We talked about the handheld stuff. We did have 2 Link's Awakening, so we didn't have no handheld. And Link Between Worlds had 1.5 tracks. So it wasn't just nothing. But Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, all 3. Link's Awakening, Majora's Mask, Link to the Past, 2. Breath of the Wild, Zelda 2, Link Between Worlds, 1.5. And then there were 2 that were just, Fairy Fountain and Overworld, which you can't really, they're just every game. You can't really put them into one game. So 2 Misk. So a pretty good spread. It leans a little bit more modern than old school, but I think that's just a representation of how far we've come musically. Again, we talked on like the Zelda 2 in our number 3, where it's like, look how much they did with what they had. It's like, yeah, well, then when they had a lot more, we had more pleasing music to listen to, so it makes sense.
Well, if anyone would have listened to me and voted the Death Mountain music from original Zelda and realized how much they did with that, maybe we could have gotten more up there for more representation. But people are wrong sometimes.
Is the Death Mountain song your highest one that didn't make the list?
Yes, that was my number 4 overall, and it did not make the list.
Well,
Mhm.
Dave, if
number
we were all
26.
as myopic as you, we'd be very different people. So
How is it celebrating?
We're supposed to come together and unite under the umbrella of really good Zelda music, and now we're tearing us apart.
What is everybody's most favorite one that did not make the list?
I can tell you what their highest ranked was. I can't tell you right off the bat what the individual was, but Dave was the highest, a 4th that didn't make the list. Doug and Nick, both of y'all, was with a number 6 that did not make the list.
What was that one?
Mine was Message from the Goddess.
Romance in the Air from Skyward Sword.
Which is a nice track.
It is a nice track.
Sean's
short,
highest that
but-
didn't make it was 9th.
Hmm.
Ring a
What
bell
was
for
your
you
number
at all?
9?
oh, I don't remember.
I
No
don't-
fucking clue.
I don't know if I switch to this view, I might be able to find it pretty quick. Hold on. Well, I'll look for it in a second. My highest that didn't make it was 12th, and Michaela's highest that didn't make it was 15th.
Dang.
Oh,
Good job,
Mulgera.
Kayla.
Yeah, that one does make me a little sad, but
Oh,
that's okay.
that's a good song too.
Yeah, but
Was
Wind
that,
Waker
also,
already had 4
was that
songs.
also mine? Was that my highest that didn't make it?
15?
Well, no. Well, it was
Oh.
my
No, the
12th, but I'm
song.
saying the same song.
Oh, the same song,
that
Mulgera?
we were
That
the
would be
2 who voted
hilarious.
for it. I don't remember if that was. It might have been.
That's really funny.
So 19 of 25 of Michaela's picks made the list, which I don't think we've seen before. Sean had 17, Doug had 16, I had 14, Nick had 13, Dave had 11. So Dave has objectively bad taste.
Yep.
Or
That's what
and
I've
I got
been
the best
saying
according to the
for
math.
years.
Or the most exclusive taste that you guys just can't
that's
understand.
one way to
We've
put
also
it.
been saying that for years, yes.
Yeah.
Finally, we can
find that very
quantify the things we felt.
I actually find that interesting that Dave says that because for me, it felt like I was highly impactful on the bottom half of the bottom half of the rankings.
Yeah.
So I feel like I might have. All right, we're fighting now, Dave.
Yeah, and Dave wasn't impactful at all.
I had a lot of my top 10 was on there, like except for number 4. The rest of my top 10 was very highly ranked, so I agreed with a lot of you guys as far as the top 10 goes.
That's the nice thing about the way the point system curves. I'm pretty happy with the way that's developed over the years because now it's like if you vote for something high, very good chance it's going to make the list. As we saw, not guaranteed, but a number 1 and a number 2 as a standalone both made the list because they carry that much weight. So if you really feel passionately about it, it's a way to get it in there. It's not going to make the group's high parts if nobody else votes for it, but at least you can have a say.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you thought of, like in retrospect? Maybe you heard a track that was in the top 25, you wished you voted for it, or something that was there that you wish you hadn't voted for.
I wish I would have voted for Ballad of the Windfish. I've been beaten down, and I just wish I would have voted for it now.
Well,
It was. I think it's at 28 of my list.
I had
once,
Mulgera at
Tony
like
30
Thompson,
31st
horseshoes
for
and
me.
hand grenades.
But I guess if
Dang.
I'd voted at 25th and given it 1 point, I would have been spared, so I messed up.
Yeah, you would've been
I-
a little bit. A little bit.
In all honesty, I had it on the list, and it just missed the cut. So it was on my list. It was like probably in the 30 range or so. I just couldn't get it up to 25. So it was there. I considered it.
That's
I
good.
have one that I wanna
sometimes
talk
that's
about.
all you can do. I mean, I had a lot of songs like that too, where they just didn't quite make the cut.
I feel like I could have made room for the Spirit Track song.
I wanted to.
Uh,
The
I
overworld
just-
theme is really
I don't have a
good.
connection to that game because the game is not very good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the biggest problem.
I tried. I have tried it multiple times. One time I got stuck because my DS, you have to fucking blow into the mic. Okay.
Yes.
One of the many reasons why this game is not good. And I was like, I'm done. I couldn't blow into it because it was in an airport. It wasn't reading correctly. And I was
Oh,
like, I'm
God.
out. I'm out.
I'll
But,
fix your DS.
But it's a good song.
I'll fix it.
And
It's
I
a really
wish,
good song.
I wish I could have found room for it.
Yeah, that was one that snuck in on my top 5. I found a hard thing of really delineating once you got down to that. Like, if I made the list on a different day, I could have moved a few
It's-
things around. Like,
it's
my
always hard.
top is going to be my top, but like
Yep.
23, 24, or 15, 16, I could see those things switching places depending on the day, depending on how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to delineate that.
I mentioned at the start, I was like 40 deep on picks that I would have thought had a chance to make the top 25, and I was like, well, that's not going to work. That's not how math goes. But it was like that 21 to 40 range. I was like, these are all kind of interchangeable. They're all not worth a lot of points, even if they make it. So I was like, I'm just going to settle on a few. But you're right. Some of those down in that range, I'm like, on a given day, I might be like, oh, I love this song. And then another day, I'd be like, I don't care about it.
Yeah, right.
But the
Well-
top wouldn't budge. Top
No, the top is the top.
15-ish wouldn't really budge.
I
And again, at
actually
the end of the day, maybe 2 years from now, you would have your 14 and your 13 flipped. I mean, fine. These are all just snapshots of a moment. And our list might change given on what's coming out or has come out by the time this airs in Tears of the Kingdom, which, you know, if it has anything on the high end like Breath of the Wild did, could have 2 like absolute bangers that would have made the top 10 or 15 of our group list.
Yep. I
Dave,
am
your homework
very
is to
excited
go
for that.
home, listen to Ballad of the Windfish. Go home, listen to Hyrule Castle, then compare them.
Specifically,
cry.
Ballad of the Windfish from Majora's Mask.
Yeah, that's the one.
what?
In the milk bar. Go listen to
Yes,
the
the
milk
milk
bar
bar.
songs. Then go play
Oh,
the ones
that one.
with the ball you bat back and forth in Triforce Heroes.
To be fair, I think
Yes.
it's most prominent in the orchestrated version. What they do
Cool.
with it is the one that most shows up in the Hyrule Castle. So
I'll listen for those 3 notes somewhere out of there. There might be an A and a
like
C and a D.
6
I
notes
think.
and like a lot of the song. So you'll see. You'll see. I rest my case. You will see the error of your ways when you listen to it.
I'm just curious about the level of passion that's coming here.
I
Like
know.
it's
Well-
stunning. Like
This is
gonna
why I said it was a
find-
hot take. It's not at all because Hyrule Castle's not a good song. It's like, wait a
I'm going
minute.
to find a song out there with the same chord progression as Ballad of the Windfish and play it for Sean and see
I
if
would
he
love that.
likes it.
Yep.
I'd be very curious to hear that. Like how many different songs have this similar chord progression, and he's like, "No, this song sucks. What are you talking about?" And then Bill
Trash.
like, "Ah."
It's gonna turn out to like Take on Me from Aha. You're like, what? How? Of course, you could also make the other argument where it's like, if they really are that similar of a track, then why do you get to vote for both of them?
Oh well, because they're different enough for sure.
Hmm.
There's
Because they're Michaela's 1 and 2, so in theory that shouldn't be allowed.
I think they're my
Hmm.
1
And 3.
No, they're my 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Kayla!
Hey,
Fuck
we
yeah,
did it.
dude.
Yeah.
You had the orders, well,
Man,
different seat, but she had a different number 1 than you because
we
she had
fucking rock,
that
dude.
second.
We got it.
All right.
I actually had one track that I had a very funny moment with. Like, so I don't know how many people did it, but I actually had to. It had been so long since I'd played Skyward Sword that I actually found a playlist on YouTube and just listened to them back to back to back. And there was one track that was taking me by surprise. Pretty much every track you listen to in order, you're like, okay, I remember where I was at in this game. Then there's a track that comes on that's like full of emotion. Like I can sense the anguish. Like then all of a sudden there's like a sort of epiphany moment, and then yet more anguish. And I'm like, I don't remember this part of this game at all. So I pulled out my phone out of my pocket. I had it in my pocket while I was doing some yard work, and imagine my surprise when I find out that the title of this song is "Dejected Groose."
Ah, Yeah, glad to see no Groose themes on our list.
Oh, thank God.
I had a Groose theme and I took it off. It was on like on my initial like maybe I'll consider this, but
That
never really
reminds me
was
of
even.
Dave. That's like Dave's theme song.
Yeah. I'm just imagining like hitting play on it when I do the reveal for what song makes the list, and it's just blah, 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 and I just blow my brains out. I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm out.
There's a little bit of just like a goofiness. He means well, and I feel like that is me, where I mean well, but I fuck up frequently. So, but I mean well.
Bruce is like half Dave and half Biff Tannen.
Yeah, without the evil.
Yeah.
Well, you have the evil part covered, but yes.
You got
what are we
that
doing
right.
next?
That is a good question. There's a few different ways we could go. The biggest issue is going to be getting overlap.
We have no more 6-person overlap, I would guess. What
Mario.
Like, Kingdom
I
Hearts.
think Mario
not really.
would.
Mario, but
Mhm.
I mean, God.
God,
There's
I
a couple
don't-
of good tracks. I don't honestly care that much. There are a couple exceptions, but that's about it.
I mean,
I'd have a
there's
heck of a
from
time.
Galaxy, from Odyssey, and I mean even 3D World and stuff like that. There's some really good tunes in there. So
Mm-hmm. Selling it
think
way
it's
short. Starting to call into question his entire musical taste.
I
No,
think
I mean, it's
I
fine,
think you
but
kind
like,
of.
same with Pokemon. I'm out of a Pokemon. There's like 2 good Pokemon songs. But
the
like
same
Kingdom
song.
Hearts, but we don't have enough coverage there. Phoenix, right? Same problem.
Well,
Yeah, so
And Mario
Phoenix
it
Wright
is.
only has like 3 good songs.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
You don't even believe that.
I do believe that Phoenix Wright has a lot of B- songs. It's even worse than Zelda for me in that regard.
I mean, there are.
like-
Like, 25 good songs. I could probably fill
I could get
a
to 25.
really solid, like, 15.
But
to
again,
20.
I feel like I could do a good Ace Attorney list. I worry about Mario because I feel like I would just pull from Odyssey and Galaxy,
I mean,
and that's it.
Mario list would be easy. Easier than
that's
this.
really too bad. Like, there's so many good. Mario's would be really easy because even if you go into the 8-bit, the 32-bit, there is so much good music that's only 45 seconds long in loops. But man, there's some
I think
really
my
good
issue is
stuff.
like Mario is like by extent it needs to be fun, right? So many of the there's a great like surf and turf song in Odyssey, great song. I don't listen to it outside of that world, and there it's great, but it's cool.
Is that the
But
Steam Gardens?
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
it sounds like a beach song and is in a forest. So
Yeah,
I swear.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
a good song.
so it's weird, but it's a great song.
yeah,
It
It'll
is.
be on my list. Spoiler.
Yep.
There is one other option that would include this entire group, but makes it a little bit dicier as far as coverage, and that's Chrono Trigger.
oh yeah.
I
One
just played that
game.
recently.
one
Well,
game. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
Chrono
enough.
series. You can put Cross in there.
You don't have to go 25 on it, but
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Chrono Cross is
Okay.
there, I
If,
feel like
if
there's
it
a
was Chrono
unanimous
Trigger and Chrono Cross, I'd
number
be
one.
interested.
yeah, I can put 22 Chrono Trigger songs and 3 Chrono Cross songs. I can do that.
Well, but that's tough because it's like it's only one game, but it has full coverage, as opposed to something we could do a series, but then not everybody has played what we need to have played.
Yeah.
We
So
already
it's
hit the
hard.
biggest ones.
Yeah,
Mario or
that's
bust.
true. Yeah.
There it is.
We'll fight about it off air.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Enough of a teaser for the audience to be like, okay, cool.
Right. I mean, the next
Check
thing is
in
going to be
again.
Doug playing Zelda 2. So
Yeah, there you go.
Well, okay.
there's
Yeah.
6
Yes,
people
I-
watching,
yes.
good
Speed
commentary.
run!
And it's
I'll
just
get my capture card ready.
it's a
Yeah.
cacophony of voices.
Yeah,
And
that'll be fun.
Yes, we should definitely do that for real zigs.
okay.
Jesus, I wonder how many glitches there are that can speed that up.
Oh, come
Oh,
on.
well,
No.
you
I don't
can
want him to
beat that
speed it
game
up.
very
He needs
fast.
Doug, don't speed run it. I want to actually experience the game.
Oh, okay.
So
All
you
right.
gotta play
I can do
it.
that too.
And I'm going to
100%
come in
speedrun
with the
it.
lore. I'm going to tell you where it falls in the storyline, down to the moment of what you're doing, where it falls in. It's going to be great.
And
It's like-
every bit that sounds like Ballad of the Windfish, he'll let you know.
I will
That's
for
right.
sure point it out for you.
Yeah, see this do. That is exactly the middle part of
Yes.
Ballad.
That note is
Really
in
gotta
Battle of the
listen.
Windfish.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that might be what comes up at some point in the channel. We'll see. We also have to play Trails from Reverie, Trails 2 Reverie. I don't fucking know. Some
Yeah, you get-
preposition.
You gotta get
That'll
your
be out.
friends-
Trails into Reverie? Is that
That
what it
sounds
was?
right. Yeah. Trails atop Reverie. I don't fucking know. That'll be coming up at some point because that releases in early July, and by the time these are done, that'll basically be like a couple weeks. So that might be what's coming up. I don't know. By the time these all air, we'll see where we're at. But as always, thank you for watching. This is the one chance I get to plug at the end of all this work, so I'm going to do it. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, drop a comment below, tell us what we got right, what your number one might have been, where it would have fallen. We want to hear from you. We respond to the comments. We appreciate you watching. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye,
good night.
everyone.
Thank you
Everybody.
and bye.